back to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Jason Bale and Hard Money Bankers co-host Ian Horowitz from Equity Warehouse. Thanks for everyone who is tuning in today. If you're a return viewer, follower, or watcher of the show, thanks again for all your support. We certainly couldn't do it without you. And if you're a first-time watcher, listener, we're going to have a lot of fun today, and I'm sure you're going to love this episode. We're going to bring on our guest here in a second, and he's going to go through an asset class and strategy that is new to me. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I can't say that we've ever had anybody on the show before that syndicates this type of asset class. So I don't know about you, Ian, but I'm going to have a ton of questions. So I'm certainly looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited for it. I know we've all used hotels, so kind of good to take a look at the behind the doors of how these things work, because everyone always hears story of how good, how bad they are. So a little excited to hear about it, especially post-COVID, when people say that, COVID killed hotels or travel. I can tell you, I still used hotels all during COVID and after COVID. So this will be a fun one for everybody. Guys, if you get any value out of the show, the best compliment we can give our guest is by sharing it. We don't care about the likes or subscribes, but we do care about the shares, because that's the best compliment we can give our guests. They're taking time out of their day. They're not gurus. They're real people like us doing real deals. So with all that being said, why don't we bring in Mike all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that you took the time out of the busy golf schedule and probably one of the best golfing areas of the country to join us. Why don't you just give everybody a quick intro, and then we'll hop into the nitty gritty of the hotel business.
Yeah, I'm from a small town, Indiana, of about 2,000 people, and went to that seminar land, after I got out of the Navy, and I was in the first Gulf War, and went to the seminar. They said, "Hey, I don't care how you do it, just buy." So I'm like, well, okay. Applied for as many credit cards as I could, put down payments on credit cards. I was 20 something, dumb, failed miserably. And, but I just knew that was it. So I just kept going and kept going and kept going and learned from the mistakes, learned from the misery, had to sell the house, move in with the in-laws, and learned a hard lesson to, I call it the PG days, pre-Google. I couldn't Google how to be a landlord. There's no podcast for me to learn. Yellow Pages didn't help much. So it was fire and burn, but then I learned.
Yeah, no, those pre-Google days, pre-YouTube University days were some down gritty days. I call it the very, very, very tail end of it. I got started in 2012, so I know Jason got started in those pre-YouTube days and had to learn it the hard way.
Had to learn it in person with a cassette tape that you got to take home with you. A cassette tape that turned into a DVD or a CD or DVD. But hey, it doesn't matter how you absorb the the content, as long as you kind of do it and figure it out. So what was that first? Some of the asset classes that in the seminar days that maybe not that you went to, but the stuff that kind of resonated with you personally.
Well, what resonated me is 95% of seminar land's BS is what resonated with me.
That is correct. It still is today.
It still is today. There's a few really, really good ones out there. But what resonated with me is don't be afraid to jump in. I failed, but you also learn from those mistakes. And what I found out, though, is the one good thing that resonated with me is in that seminar, they said, go to your local college, go to your local university. They get bequeathed homes. They're not in the business of being a landlord. I actually got seller financing on 8 properties, because one thing that the college did do is they know how to take money. They know how to finance. And so I bought 8 homes seller financing from university.
Oh, wow.
Nice. So I guess with like that, so seller financing, right? Like you hop right into it. I think a lot of people today think that that's like a hard thing to do. How did you? I guess was it already teed up for you, or like how did you approach trying to even pitch that?
Yeah, well, back then the university said absolutely we know how to take monthly payments. It was just an ask. It's like we're really good at that. So that was really easy. In the later days, I just ask. It doesn't take. I'm like, hey, you're behind on your payments. Whatever it is, I'll make you current, and I'm going to take over your mortgage, or I'm going to do seller financing, and that's how I got started in the single family stuff.
Nice. Yeah. So, and I guess before we like advance to where you are today in syndicating hotels, I think this is really important because I was a first responder. I was a fireman for the city of Baltimore. Well, I didn't go to war for our country. I did work in a war zone. So you learn a lot of very,
Absolutely.
very interesting things out there. But your early days between your first deal that you did and the Navy, like what skill sets were you able to take from those experiences that apply to today? I know we're kind of bridging the gap here, but I think it's really important to talk about it while we're in that time frame.
Well, I think it's the same as you learned, Ian. It's the mindset. It's the, hey, we're not afraid to take the risks. We're not afraid. I'll tell you what, I'd rather be at war than rush into a burning building. No, thank you. Thank you for your service. That's some crazy stuff. But you learn not to give up. You know that you can't give up, or that's in war, or for you, it's death. But if you take that same mindset, that it's my business death if I give up, especially like COVID and hotels, it was easy to curl up in a ball and cry for 2 years. But that military mindset, allowed me to say, okay, I need to think out of the box. I'm in a situation that I know I can get out of, and how do I do it?
Do you think anyone can get that mindset? And then that leads me into like, do you think anyone could invest in real estate or in general?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I was a naive kid, you just, whether the drill sergeants in the Navy or the Marine Corps, or a mentor or business coach in civilian world, it's all taught. And now there are some personality types where they're just, a very passive mindset, and they're best to be employees. They're best to be limited partners. And, they don't like, they're risk adverse, so you do have some personality types, but why can't anyone make 7 figures in real estate? Or if it's not even that, just build a life that they want, more time with their families. You have a lot of the whys. Anyone can do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's right. I hear people, interview people on social media and stuff like that, and they'll be like, you think this life's for everybody, or do you think anybody can be an entrepreneur, or anybody? And it's a question that's interesting. And like, some days I think no, and then some days I think yes. And it just depends on what you want.
You have to have that discipline, right?
Yeah.
You get up on Monday, you go to the calendar, you go through I have a default calendar. This is what I do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A lot of people can't do that. They get sidetracked. They get on social media. They do these different things. You have to inherently learn that discipline as an entrepreneur in order to survive.
Yeah.
And then once you have that discipline, then hire people in order to grow. But it's not for everyone. I know people that have lost $500,000 because they're like, I'm tired of my W-2. I'm going to go buy this. And they did it, and it failed within 3 or 4 months because they were not entrepreneurs.
They
didn't have that mindset.
They probably weren't prepared to do that. And that's something that Ian and I have talked about a lot of different times is, there's two sides of that. Sometimes the one side is there's people that are just overthinking all day long and will never get off the couch and never just pull the trigger. And then there's some that are just like, yep, I'm going to do it. Let's do it. And they don't have any proper education and they're just going to fail.
That was me at the beginning.
Yeah. And I don't know which one, I don't know which one's better. I guess the person who never gets off the couch, is never going to get anywhere, but, and I get that, but yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both. And going back to the discipline, I think like a nice way to even start with that for somebody could just be like a habit, right? A good habit turns into being very, very disciplined, and a good habit is very easy to create after like a day or two, right? It's hard to start, it's hard to start to go to the gym. It's hard to start and eat healthy. It's hard to start and like devote into reading all these books about real estate investing, but like just start with it. And then the next day do it again, and the next thing you know, every morning from 7 to 8 a.m., you're learning real estate, just like clockwork.
That's that default calendar that you need to have. I have fires I have to put out, but I know that at 6 a.m. Monday morning, I do this, then I work out, then I do this. And you're exactly right, Jason. It's creating that discipline one step at a time.
You need that discipline, but you know what else you need? As I'm sitting here thinking about it, just because I'm probably the opposite of both of you guys, that person that has that discipline also needs to have that ability to have the risk tolerance to put their neck out there and say, okay, this isn't in my normal block and tackle stuff. It's going to put me out there. It's going to make me a little nervous, but I got to do the deal, because none of this block and tackle stuff matters, right? It's like, well, if you get fit, but then you don't utilize your muscles or your endurance, like, yeah, you're going to stay alive. That's an important part of all this, but what's the point of getting fit, right? Like, are we trying to be functional? Are we trying to be the best bodybuilder? Like, what are we trying to do? So it's also, yes, you need the block and tackle and have that regimen. And I think that's how people succeed and get to that next level. But in the same sense, if you never stick your neck out there, none of that matters, because we all have been to the seminars. How many seminar guys do you see that you're like, you're at this one and this one and this one? Now I'm speaking on stage, but you're still here attending and haven't done your first deal,
Yeah, I've talked to, I do a lot of seminars and events, and you're exactly right, and I see the same people. And they have that, some people call it analysis paralysis, but some people just say, well, I need one more of this, or what I always tell people is that they have a lot of fears on why, or a lot of excuses. And those excuses or fears are only true inside of their head. It's not reality. People are still, well, the interest rates are high. Well, this is wrong. 10 different, every time I see them, 10 different things. I'm like, I'm still buying, that's an excuse. It's only real inside your head. You got to be able to break out of that and just do it.
Yeah, that's 100% true. It's the same exact stuff that we talk about.
Well, here's the other thing. Like, and I don't think this is just me, but I think a lot of people think this as well, is like, you do have a lot of anxiety when you're like, I want to get to here, but I gotta get up. I want to get to the top of the skyscraper, but I got to get to floor 1 first. Like, it's intimidating. And it's like, floor 1 doesn't mean much. You're not making much money. It's a lot of work. So it's frustrating to do that. And you look back, the one thing that I've always talked about, and I agree, and I think you guys can attest to this, is when you look back in time, you're like, wow, that happened really quickly. But when you're doing it in real time, it's like, this takes forever. Like, we're building out a new software internally in our office that I'm heading for our lending company, and it's a freaking bear. Like, it is a bear of a project. And like every day it's a little bit of block and tackle. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't really accomplish much today, even though like I spent a lot of time on it. But then you look back and it's like, wow, over the last few weeks, like I really got far along type of thing. So I think you got to have that mindset of like, just keep it simple. Do step 1, then do step 2. And all of step 1 can be 0 to 100%. Like, step 1's 100% done. It's like, wow, like you finished the whole project.
Well, it's the thing in the military. You have a big goal, and for you, Jason, it's to complete the software. But if you sit there and just say, wow, please God, let me finish boot camp. you're not going to survive. But if you take it 1 hour at a time, and then 1 hour, if I can just survive 12 of these, well, that's 12 hours, and then it becomes a day, and then it's like you have to keep it your goals very. You can't sit there and say, my ass is going to be in the sand for the next 8 hours. You can't do that. But I can count to 60 times, and that's 1 minute done. 1 minute done. It's keeping it in perspective that my brain can handle 1 minute more.
Right.
Yeah. And if you do that, you can survive these types of things. And that's that. Ladies and gentlemen, I still get anxiety. I get 4 or 5 different emotions every time I look at a property or I buy a property. I mean, there's like, okay, here I go again. Are you kidding me? I just did this, And you still have that after 27 years. But there's also a lot of excitement with instead of all anxiety. There's excitement. There's, but still it's like going, okay, I have to trust my due diligence. This is a good property.
Yep. Yeah, no, trust in the system, trust in the process. Like you said, one step at a time. So I know we kind of went off on a tangent, but I think this is a really good one that's going to help a lot of people, especially if you're stuck as a new real estate investor trying to do your first deal as we approach the new year, as this episode comes out, or if you're the seasoned guy trying to do something bigger in your business. You got to get uncomfortable. You got to take that baby step of Jason and I are both implementing new CRMs with inside of our businesses. And it is a monumental headache task that takes it all out of you. It makes me lose even more hair, which is impossible. But you know what? It's fun because this is what takes us to the next level. It builds that autonomous business. So Mike, you took step one. You buy these 8 seller finance houses from university. Now you're buying hotels, and we didn't even get to talk about this yet, but I know you told us pre-show you're buying hotels in Spain. How do you make the jump from the single-family asset class? What happens from there to getting into hotels?
Yeah, great question. So I went from single-family, the progression that everyone has. I did single-family, then into multifamily. I did multifamily for a long time. Made a lot of deals during the 2008 to 2012, sitting on cash. And that's where I got really back into larger multifamily multifamily seller financing. And this is crazy. 10 years ago, this group came in and said, I want to buy all of I had owner managed 1,500 doors. And a group came in and said, I want to buy your portfolio. And I'm like, nope, I am golfing every day. I have on-site managers. My life is perfect. I don't want to sell. But they came back. They finally came to Phoenix area. And you guys never believe this. They said, I want to meet you at IHOP. I'm like, okay. So over pancakes and coffee, they actually wrote a number on the napkin, and it was a number I couldn't refuse. And I was like going, I think I've seen this in a movie or something like that. Yeah. I didn't know it would happen in real life, but made the deal over pancakes. And then I said, now what? The cap rates were going down, being very compressed, especially in our area. There, multifamily was 4 caps, 4.5 caps. And I was like, I was buying at 10 to 12. And I was like, what am I going to do? And it's all about networking, ladies and gentlemen. Network, get mentors, get business mentors, network. You never know what you're going to find. Well, I knew this guy that had about 25 years of hotel experience. And I was like, I know nothing about hotels as anything like multifamily. And after he stopped laughing, he goes, what do you want? And I said, I want you to find me hotels. I want you to teach me everything you know about hotels. We're going to buy hotels. You're going to operate them. And in return for you teaching me everything and putting up with me, I'm going to give you a cut on the back end. And that's how it started. And ladies and gentlemen, if you ever go into a new asset class, get a mentor, JV up with somebody, partner up with somebody, so that you don't make the mistakes and fail.
Good points.
That is very good advice. It can be expensive, but it's worth it, right? Because obviously if you give up equity, it's the most expensive. If you pay for it, maybe it's cheaper, but the hacks that you probably got, the years of not having headaches have got to be worth it. So that's a really good point. So let's talk about your first. Well, I guess what was your attraction to hotels? Was it the cap rate?
It was a lot of things. So, for ladies and gentlemen, all of you that are in multifamily, I started hating people. You know what I mean? It's like going, quit flushing that down the toilet. What are you doing this? You know, evictions and chasing rents and all this stuff. I'm like, my God, you know, hotels are a business. It's not real estate. It's a business that sits on real estate. I get your credit card up front, which is really, really nice thing. I really like that. And then you stay with me, a max week, and then you're gone. I don't have to put up with you anymore. And the other biggest thing is I get to, if you consider my ADR, my daily rate, and your rent on multifamily, you have 6-month leases, 12-month leases. I get to charge a new rent every day for every unit. And the gross revenues are a lot higher. And I can change that rate as many times a day as I want. You know, if an event comes in, concert comes in, instead of 120 a night, it's 200 a night. Summer out here in Arizona, maybe 70 a night. I get to change it depending on what's going on.
Well, when you put it that way, it does make it seem like a good asset class to invest in compared to other ones. So let's just describe to the listener what type of hotels. I mean, there's a lot of different types of hotels out there in general. What's your target hotel type? Are we talking about like a Holiday Inn Express?
Great question. And the location, it's all about, it's kind of like multifamily, location. If I have an opportunity off of a major highway outside of a metro area, smaller town, what am I going to look at? I'm going to look for truck driver parking. I'm going to look for middle of the road, like Quality Inn.
Got it.
Something that works for that area where the truck drivers, and those are the ones during COVID just absolutely killed it, because truck drivers kept America going. And if they could find a hotel, they didn't want to get into the big city because of COVID. They wanted to stay half hour outside, free breakfast, free internet, hot shower, truck driver parking. Now inside the city, you have on the outskirts, like suburbs. I really like the upper middle tiers. Like maybe a DoubleTree, Hampton Inns, and maybe in a business park. But those are, you still get some free breakfast, but you have a bar, and those do really well on the outside. But then as you get into urban, you want more of like a lifestyle, more of a. I really like the lifestyle type hotels where I get to kind of decorate them to the vibe of the city. So it really, but most of the hotels are kind of like that mid.
Yeah, like a 3-star
extended stay. Extended stay does really well.
Yeah, like the 3-star stuff that like somebody's not booking 6 months in advance. They're like, hey, I'm passing through and I need, I go on my phone and I book something and you have a special for that night. Not that other people don't do that in longer periods of time, but yeah, no, I get it. And are these in every state or just your state? Just in Arizona or all over the place?
No, Arizona, Georgia, Indiana.
Okay, those are your strategic markets that you in. And then
I stay away from certain. I learned a lot during COVID. We can maybe get in that early. There are some states now that I won't do business in.
Yeah, I don't blame
you. Go on, tell us more.
We've learned that too. I learn that in real time every day when I go to try to foreclose on a property, and
exactly.
and
Exactly.
yada yada yada. 3 years later.
Yep. Here in Arizona, it's 5 days.
5 days to do what? Oh, eviction. Yeah. Yeah. I mean that makes it nice. It's challenging. So,
hold on a second. You said eviction. How do you end up with people that like just won't get out of the hotel room? Does that happen often?
Well, this was you do, but no, I'm talking when I was in multifamily. It was 5 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have squatters in hotels, and the rule with hotels is if someone stays, and you have to watch this, if someone books a month, let's say their hot water broke, that's something they're doing renovations, they stay for 30 days. They now become a renter. In legal
eyes. It's that 30-day mark?
Yeah, in some states it's 28, some it's 30. But then what you have to do, you have to check them out and then check them back in.
Smart.
And then it starts it back over, because then I'd have to go through the foreclosure process.
Oof, yeah. Or the eviction process.
Eviction. Yeah, I'm sorry. Eviction process at a hotel.
Good to know. Every time, Ian's got a more diverse portfolio than I do. I mean, I'm a limited partner in a lot of assets, obviously, because I operate, keep a good bit of my money in my lending operation. But like whenever we hear, creative strategies like this, Ian and I are always like, man, hey, we should potentially try this. And then we always do get back down to reality of like, we got a lot going on. And just like anything else, it's all a full-time business. Like all of these strategies work fine. It's just a matter of what you want to focus on.
Yeah. And focus on what you're good at.
So is it like, just real quick, is it like storage? Like, for some storage operators, we operate some of the mom and top tertiary more type stuff, but then in big cities or certain locations, we will go to the big REITs and say, hey, toss extra space on here, or toss whatever on there. Is that similar to you? Like, are you like, I know you already said extended stay, so you're a franchisee of that. Like, how does that whole like process work, and what does that look like?
Yeah, great question. Number one, a franchise will not give you a hotel if you don't have real experience. They're not going to take a chance on their franchise and their name for you to run it into the ground. So number one, that's why it's important to, if you want to get into hotels, you have to partner with someone, because they're most likely going to be on the loan. They're going to have to be on the franchise application. So applications are not cheap. Hampton Inn, I'm buying one in Ohio, maybe, I'm in due diligence period. Just the application to apply to be part of Hampton or Hilton is $200,000. Just to fill out an application.
Each time for each one?
Every time. Okay. Just to fill out an application for them to decide whether or not they want you as a franchisee. And some of them are, choice hotels, Quality Inn, Comfort Inn, that might be $75,000. I mean, they're just the Marriotts and the Hiltons know that you're going to make money, and so they're like, well, you want to play with the big boys, see if you can pay. So you go through that application process, and they vet you, and they do everything, and then they decide whether or not they want you they decide whether or not you can have that hotel or not. And then you have to make a choice. Well, maybe what's the break contract fee? Maybe I'll go with another franchise, that knows me.
What does in a franchise model like that? And Ian, maybe you know this because it might be similar to how storage is. But is it just using their branding, or are they managing it after the fact?
Yeah, great question. The larger chains, franchises, they offer management. I don't have that. We manage. So what they do is you have the franchise fees. And the reason why you go with the franchises, some of the larger franchises, is the rewards members. At Wyndham, at Hilton, at Marriott, I have over 100 million potential guests. You know, because you go to Marriott.com, Scottsdale, Arizona, or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and they want to stay in this area, boom, you pop up. So, and everyone is kind of like Ford and Chevy. Everyone kind of sticks to what they want. You know, so they're Marriott people. They get rewards. They travel business. Now it's family vacation time. They're using points. They're going to go with the brands that they love. So that's really the number one reason why you go with a franchise is the marketing, the campaigns that they do, their reservation systems.
Yeah. Interesting. And most of these have you bought pre-existing hotels, or have you been doing ground up construction and developing them?
I'm getting ready to do my very first ground up. We've delayed it because of the economy. I'm hoping to do it maybe the end of this year. It's going to be a high-end Hilton in Scottsdale. But most of them are out-of-state management or bad management. You know, they're kind of like what you would do in multifamily, things like that. I can go in, maybe change the franchise, get rid of the deadbeat GM, general manager, put our systems in place, maybe change the franchise, but then go in and hotels are a little bit longer. It's usually like a 5 to 7 year hold. You can't put lipstick on because it's a business. I can't just raise rents and sell it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the strategy, is after you get these things, call it stabilized or more stable, it's to flip it to an end. Who's like the end buyer on something like this? Is that like an institution, or is that a one-off group? What happens in that case?
Yeah, it depends. I sold a hotel in Arizona in the spring. It was a group that had a dozen hotels. They wanted to expand in that area, and they came in and just said, here's cash. I want your hotel. I'm selling one in a small town where a lot of hotels are owned by people from India. The Patels. Yep. Everyone knows.
Yep.
They're very, very good at what they do, and I'm selling one to a husband and wife, but they're going to, how they save a lot of money is the whole family works at that hotel. Dad's the GM, the wife is running the office or the housekeeping.
It's a business that they buy. It's a business
not just an asset. And a lot of times they'll actually live at the hotel. They'll build an apartment or something like that. And so it's a family. The kids are working front desk or maintenance, and that's how they save the money. So it depends. And then some of them, like the larger ones, the $30 million, $40 million hotels, will be REITs or institutional.
Will the flagship buy back ever? Like Marriott, Wyndham, someone like that. Do they buy back? Because it's kind of common sometimes in storage. Like Extra Space will run it. They'll be like, "Oh crap, this revenue is insane, and we can do better. We're just going to buy it from you."
They're not in the business of owning. I think Marriott might still own some, but they'd rather take 12% from all of us.
The best place to be, I guess.
Yeah.
So what one last question before we let you go is taxes. So we own a few Airbnbs. I've been told by my accountant that it's taxed kind of like hotels. It's ordinary income. Then we're going to depreciate the real estate, blah, 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 blah. Let's talk about everyone's favorite thing in the world, taxes and how it works. And just, you can keep it high level and go from there.
Yeah, well, it's a great question. Because it's a business, because it's large, because it has a lot of stuff. I always do cost segregations, and what that means, people, is I can accelerate depreciation on every pen, paper, stapler, bed sheet. Everything has a lifespan. All the beds, all the lamps, all the office equipment. So I can see a tax savings first year of like $1.2, $1.3 million on the first year of a hotel. And
what percentage is that? Sorry to interrupt. What percentage do you think that is? Just because like we can compare it to what other asset classes we've seen.
Sure. For instance, last one I bought a hotel for $5 million. I raised 1.29, and on the K1s they saw $1.2 million tax deduction.
Hell
first
yeah.
year.
Okay.
Okay. Then all of my I always try to get all my investors to go, LLCs, but then it's a pass through. We have the sales taxes, maybe 2 sales taxes that are on it. So you have the property taxes, the sales taxes, which are passed on to the customers. But it's on, you get the K1s, you get the ordinary income. That's, it's all business, but it flows through the different LLCs and that's taxed on a higher level, the holding company.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, it's an interesting look. It's something that I don't think I would ever want to operate, but definitely something I'd probably be interested in from a passive standpoint of taking a look at, because, it is, like you said, the truckers are the heartbeat of America. I mean, people are traveling all the time. They need places to stay. We see the demand on our few little Airbnbs here, and I guess the right operator with the right hotel, that there's a ton of upside with, a little bit. It sounds like much like storage. Come in, do a few capital improvements, and then go and take the deduction on that capital improvement, and then go ahead and fix the management, right? Like that's usually the biggest value add on a lot of even multifamily, but there's a little more block and tackle. But a lot of these bigger commercial assets, it's usually just fixing the management. And I think that, hearing that you have a good team in place, that's something that would intrigue me to passively invest. I just taking on a whole team and building it out, and just hearing, what you went through to even get started. That $200,000 application fee would probably make me sick to my stomach. So
I know it's horrible, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going into Spain is because of the, you don't have a lot of that. The expenses are a lot lower. The assets are a lot lower. People actually want to work over there. And, so it's a different mindset. It's more of a lifestyle investment, but yeah, you're exactly right. Hotels you sell them based on gross revenue. It's an X factor based on gross revenue. It's not really a cap rate. So if it'd be 4 times gross, 5 times gross revenue. So all you do is you want to lower the expenses a little bit, but bump up the gross revenues.
Right, and that's where having the correct flagship or I guess what you guys call it, store operator on the front side that you're going to franchise with is important, because if Marriott's going to market and they can drive better rates, and then I'm sure you guys get dynamic pricing and everything else, and you're in the right location, you're gonna outpace it and drive revenue. So,
Exactly.
No, that's awesome. Mike, one thing that we ask all of our guests before we roll, and I might switch it up just judging by your background, but usually I say, what's one book or podcast that everybody should listen to? But based on your wall, I might toss this in there and feel free to go rogue, favorite band or favorite song. But with that being said, what's one good book or podcast? If you want to answer that second one, that would be awesome.
Well, I'll answer the second one first. In the middle, I have the original 5 Eagles signed, autographed. To the right is an autographed guitar from the Eagles. In the middle, though, is a custom Gibson Les Paul, and it's the Guns N' Roses Slash version to give you that extra humbucker.
There you go.
A little more edge. The purple guitars for the 80s, more the 80s reverb sound. But book, The Money Secrets of the Rich is one of the ones that kind of changed my life a little bit. It's by John Burley, good friend of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about the millionaire next door, kind of, if you remember that book.
Of course.
But it's the way that when you find out your why you want to do this entrepreneurship, why do you want to go into real estate? Don't let it be all about money. Money will come if you're successful. It'll come if you're doing the right things. But build your why. Mine was, and it's been 15 years, it's still above my desk. My why was to build a life that I don't need a vacation from. And that's what was important to me. And the money secrets of the rich is kind of that mindset of why they did the things, why they're doing these different things. Why is it that people that have the black cards, Centurion cards, drive used cars? Why don't most of them, the richest guy that I know, he's worth about $3 billion, F-250, cowboy hat, blue jeans, flannel shirt. He'll jump in his private jet and go on vacations, but it's that mindset that you change. Once you start making money, don't go out and buy that Bentley. Don't go out and buy that thing. I've been in the same house for 22 years, and it's paid off. So it's a different shift, that the true rich. It's not the fake rich.
That's right. That's very, very profound. And I think we will definitely be clipping that one. And you guys will probably see that all over the internet because it's very, very smart. I was just talking to someone. I said, yeah, the money's cool, but the time freedom and being able to be with the kids, that's why we do this. Being able to be at all the kids' activities, for me anyway, and I know Jason as well. And I love that idea of build a life that you don't need to take a vacation from. It's just a very simple way of saying control your own destiny, and that's awesome. Mike, where's the best place people can find you on the internet? They want to learn more about what you do, or they want to check out one of your deals.
Sure. I am extremely active on LinkedIn under Michael Stohler. Gateway Private Equity Group is the website, gatewaype.com. I also have a podcast. Love to have you guys on. It's called The Richer Geek. And we've been doing that for about 7 or 8 years. And
nice.
All the deals are on there. The new Spain fund is on there. And let me know that you found me from these guys, and love to answer any of your questions.
Awesome. We appreciate it. I look forward to checking out all of your stuff. We'll get everything in the show notes for everybody. If you missed that, Mike, awesome. I really think you're the first hotel guest that we've had. And it's got to be a really long time if we had anyone before. So this was really eye-opening, very interesting, and we appreciate it. Guys, if you got any value out of this, please share it. As you can see, Mike's just one of us out there doing deals, one deal at a time. We don't care about the likes or subscribes. And guys, we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.